Greetings and salutations. My name is Michael Schwahn and welcome to the channel. We have some more reaction content for you, and today we are looking at Sonic Frontiers, and I mean all of it. I have avoided seeing anything about this game. Now, I've not avoided everything about this game, okay? Because I don't know if that's possible unless you just don't ever touch the internet in any capacity. So, I have seen a couple of like small little GIFs on Twitter, a screenshot here and there, and then a lot of discourse surrounding it. I've seen people be like, man, this looks like an Unreal Engine tech demo. This looks like shit. I've seen Breath of the Sonic going around. I've seen people being like, it's not that bad. And then like apparently the trailer for the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, which can we talk a moment for the fact that Sega got placed in the Mini Partner Showcase? Nintendo straight up said, Sega does what Nintendo don't, huh? And just put them down at the bottom of the pack. Just be like, you're one of our mini partners. If you were a real developer, Sega, you would have gotten your own Direct the way that Monolith Soft and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 did. Anyway, so that aside. But then the game was also available at Summer Games Fest, and we saw a lot of trailers around Summer Games Fest, and we're gonna see some today that I've not seen yet. But I listened to the recently launched Friends Per Second podcast that has Skill Up, Jake Blandino, and a couple of other people on it. It's like one of the I don't remember her name because she's not a YouTuber. She's just one of like the lead people that's at like GameSpot or something like that. And then you got Jake Blandino, who's with Game Ranks. He's the guy that I'm sure you've seen his YouTube thumbnails of before you buy, and he's got his hands out. Skill Up, who's an Australian video game reviewer, and then the Completionist, whose also name escapes me, but he completes games and then reviews them. They have a podcast, right? They just launched a podcast called Friends Per Second, and one of the first things they talked about was Sonic Frontiers. And they had wildly different experiences with playing the demo when they were all at the Summer Games Fest. Skill Up hated it. Everyone else was like, I thought it was actually really good. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then people started to feel a lot better about the game after seeing the trailer at the Nintendo Switch Direct. And I was like, all right. I still don't know, so we'll just find out for ourselves. I grabbed everything. We will go ahead and start from the very beginning. It's only 30 seconds. This is the cinematic trailer that launched during the Sonic Central event back in 2021. But we're just going to go on the full journey, all right? Going to go on the full journey. So, a question though, if anyone can answer it. I actually still haven't seen either of the Sonic movies. There's something in the Sonic movies where essentially the way that he goes from realm to realm is he straight up like full sprint gold ring Doctor Strange's himself into other realms when he wants to, right? Okay, anyway, so that first trailer, nothing. Sonic game's coming out. People are like, oh man, it's going to be an open world Sonic. And this is the teaser's trailer that happened before we finally got some actual, like, content for the game. And I believe that this one is similar in that it's short. I think it just shows Sonic running up to an open field. No, there's more. So, you know, I did not get Breath of the Wild vibes from that. Obviously, there's some other things that we haven't seen yet that might have taken place. But so here's the weirdest part to me, right? Okay, so there's like a little turbine that you're using as your tower mechanic, like you could say Breath of the Wild, although it's interesting that it's just in a random spot on the ground. Rather than, and maybe it's not the map reveal mechanic, the way that you have like the what are they called in Assassin's Creed? The really high spots that let you examine everything. You got the freaking Sheik Towers in Breath of the Wild. You got the long necks in Horizon. It's a common mechanic at this point. If you reveal the map through, you know, getting to a specific point. I guess it's maybe raised up a little bit, but it's not raised up that much. So, but regardless, okay, that's not the thing that caught my attention. This is what caught my attention. There's these enemies, and Sonic has a trail behind him. And when he completes the circle around it, the enemy gets cross-slashed, popped up, and you start getting to do aerial combos against him. Has anyone played Astral Chain? Because that's just how Astral Chain works. Except you have two people, right? You have your character, and then you have your guardian that you're controlling, and you have a chain between you. If you wrap the chain around an enemy, they get bound, and you can do a whole bunch of combo stuff to them. You know, I think I'm more concerned about the weird enemy design. Like, is this thing just a foot? Are you fighting a foot? Or are you fighting 2 feet? Okay, so initially, like, I wonder why. Maybe these next trailers will give us a better idea, because I'm kind of curious why people are calling it what may saying it looks like a tech demo. Because honestly, like, I thought that looked pretty good, except for maybe the emptiness of it all.
IGN First for the month of June 2022 is all about Sonic Frontiers. We've got gameplay, we've got previews, and we've got interviews from the developers who made it all happen. All month long, we'll be diving deep into what you can expect when the game makes its way to you later down the road. First up, we've got the world premiere gameplay focusing on exploring the mysterious island that Sonic suddenly finds himself stranded on at the start of the game. Be sure to stick with IGN throughout June so you don't miss anything. Until then, here's your first look at gameplay from Sonic Frontiers.
All right, I'm ready. You know, the visual style of this reminds me a little bit of all of the Nintendo Hire This Man memes, where it's just a static shot of, like, a Pokemon or Mario standing in a grass field. Well, there's not fall damage, so that's nice. It's exactly what this game is, but just like actually a game, right? Interesting. There you go. I was like, why aren't you running? Okay, so we're climbing a big-ass tower. Need to work on those kinetics a little bit, guys. There you go. That looks like a normal walking speed. I feel like you could have gotten higher. Oh, doesn't matter now. Okay, I see why people are saying it looks like a tech demo, because there is just some random shit placed around for you to use the mechanics with at this point. Like, none of these points of interest look like legitimate points of interest. They all just look like different things for you to test out the game engine with, like the physics engine and Sonic speed engine, rather than an actual, like, purposeful mechanic that exists for any reason. Almost like it's a testing area. Of course, we see all these little signs sitting around, right? I wonder if those are essentially like challenges. Because there wasn't much story to Sonic games, right? It was about the gameplay very heavily. It was about going fast and trying to make your way through the environment, take as little damage as possible, collect a bunch of rings. So if each of those little, like that board right there with the question mark on it, if that's just like a challenge thing, if you need to go to a certain place in a certain amount of time, to where it's like a time trial mechanic, and you're just taking advantage of Sonic being fast, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Sonic has a story, it does, but older Sonic games are the ones that we use the most as a comparison metric. Sonic like 1 through 3, right? And then you could take more modern games like Origins or Mania, and the story in them is very, very light, right? We know that you're trying to save all of the cute little fuzzy creatures from Dr. Robotnik and or trying to stop the Chaos Emeralds. And that's the entirety of it, unless you go into things, you know, like Sonic 08 and stuff like that, but we don't talk about those. I saw someone recently ask, I think it's the director of this game, or maybe it's like the head of Sonic or Sega or something about that, about whether Sonic was going to be making out with any more humans. And he's like, no, I think we're probably done with that. And it's like, oh, that's good. I don't remember any crazy story stuff in 3 with character development or plot twists. I just remember it being more Sonic. I didn't play Knuckles though, so. How do we go even faster? Okay. So this is the combat. I think I really want to know what...
First continues on with yet another look at Sonic Frontiers gameplay, this time focusing on combat. Sonic is up against an all-new set of baddies, some of which are among the most massive bosses we've ever seen in a Sonic game. Fortunately, Sonic's got some new tricks up his sleeve. Make sure to stick with IGN all throughout June because we've got a full hands-on preview and interviews from the developers in store. For now though, enjoy the combat of Sonic Frontiers.
So, like... Here's the problem with open world stuff, right, though, is that open world stuff, it needs to be designed in such a way that it pulls you around the world, either through natural curiosity or because something is driving you to that direction. And I'm still very curious what is driving and pulling us. Did you seriously not pick up any rings after you lost them? What's wrong with you? So we can like charge, we can spam attacks, and we can activate specials in some way. Is there no UI at all to this? Or do they just have the UI hidden? People are gonna be busting out the Sonic versus Goku memes now. With him straight up shooting key blasts. Ha! Sure, this time you pick your rings back up. They should have let you get on that thing and ride it. The giant spinning disc. We already saw them fight this. You don't need to show us again. I mean, that was cool. It didn't do anything. How did they decide what footage to use and show? I feel like that's part of the problem with both that first trailer and this one, is that they've picked interesting footage, but I don't mean interesting as in like, oh, this is really interesting to watch. Like, this is an interesting choice of like weirdly paced and weirdly presented bits. Like, they showed us like the little ball enemy, right? It takes a while to fight, and that's fine, but you showed us the same enemy twice, back to back, and neither fight was different in any meaningful way. So all you did was just burn the clock. See, at least with that one, they showed a difference of moving, like, grabbing multiple, launching them in the air, and then, you know, speedballing between them. Is this supposed to be a boss? Huh, cute. That was cute. I liked that. Do you think the build kept crashing and that's why they've had to keep resetting the fight essentially from a different angle? Man, I'll tell you what, though. They picked some of the most boring-ass music on the back of this. All right, IGN. We're still going with you.
Sonic's done a lot in 30 years. He's been a pioneer of the high-speed 2D platformer, an Olympic athlete, a respectable kart racing
Again, though, like, I don't necessarily feel like what they're showing us is that bad. I feel like the way that they're showing it to us is awful.
Done open world. And Sonic Frontiers fixes to change that. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first people outside of Sonic Team to go hands-on with Sonic Frontiers, and let me just say, if you're worried about how the blue blur will fare in this unfamiliar genre, well, I think Crush 40 probably put it best. Open your heart, it's gonna be alright. The first thing that struck me about Sonic Frontiers was how uniquely somber and serene it was right from the outset. After flying into a wormhole with Tails and Amy, Sonic finds himself separated from his friends and all alone on an isolated island, with nothing but an AI voice guiding him to collect the Chaos Emeralds. There's no one for Sonic to bounce quips off of, no energetic Crush 40 soundtrack, just wide open fields as far as the eye can see. There's an air of mystery in Sonic Frontiers, and it's a vibe that's driven home even further by the beautiful yet minimalist piano melodies that accompany Sonic as he explores the island.
I want to know if this footage is footage that IGN chose or if it's footage that Sega chose.
To describe how the tone of Sonic Frontiers differs from previous Sonic games. And he said, past games in the Sonic series have taken different tones depending on their stories and themes. This time, these mysterious islands are the game's major setting. That's why our artists have worked hard to create a mysterious mood. Of course, the big new change in Sonic Frontiers is the shift from purely linear levels to a huge open world where Sonic can freely run in any direction. But Sonic Team doesn't like to use the term open world to describe Sonic Frontiers' gameplay, instead referring to its style as being open zone. Open world games like Zelda or other AAA games fundamentally have RPG or adventure worlds. For Sonic,
open zone is becoming more popular too. That's what Final Fantasy 16 is going to be doing. It's an open zone style game. Instead of being able to traverse anywhere you want and trying to create a world, there's sections essentially.
It's easy to see what Izuka-san means. Sonic Frontiers' open zone design is very different from any other open world I've played. It's a giant playground. Every few feet, there's a bumper spring that bounces you like a pinball between 5 other bumpers.
I have a feeling people are not going to be a very big fan of the playground.
Or a speed ramp that sets you on a completely different path, leading to some other collectible or reward. Or a line of rings that you can lightspeed dash into. Essentially, they've taken that core appeal of every Sonic level having multiple paths that eventually loop back around to the main one, and applied that to these giant non-linear open zones. One thing that has to be noted is that very few of these elements are built into the environmental design, meaning that rails, platforms, boost rings, and so on are just inexplicably floating in the air all around, which isn't totally unusual for a Sonic game, but it feels especially jarring in Frontiers in particular.
Yeah, it looks weird as hell
because of the frequent and sudden pop-in of these objects and the otherwise very naturalistic art style. Of course, it's worth emphasizing that this gameplay and the version that I played were from an early build, but this is definitely an area that I would hope to see improvement in the final version. Beyond that, there are also a wide variety of puzzles and challenges that are littered throughout the zone, and completing them is how you uncover sections of your map. Most of these are very simple, requiring you to orient a statue the correct way, quickly hop back and forth between colored tiles, or use Sonic's new side loop ability to draw circles around certain objects in the environment to interact with them. The best ones, though, are the races against the clock where you have to get from point A to point B in a limited amount of time. The openness of Frontiers level design makes straightforward races like these a ton of fun, because you have to try and improvise a path to the end that might not be immediately obvious. There are some exceptions, but combat in traditional Sonic games generally isn't a thing that goes much deeper than jumping, rolling, or using a homing attack into enemies at the right time. That changes in Sonic Frontiers, which now has you fighting all sorts of wandering enemies and mini-bosses using an all-new array of incredibly flashy attacks. It's not all style and no substance though. Sonic is able to quickly dodge using the bumper buttons on the gamepad, and by pressing them together, he can even parry attacks with the right timing. His homing
Alright,
attack
I like
also
parries
feels
and
much more
dodges.
powerful, landing with a ton of impact and keeping Sonic stuck to his enemy, allowing for a flurry of follow-up strikes. One of the things I really appreciate about the combat from what I played is that there are usually multiple ways to deal with specific enemies. Like, take for example this guy, who has an impenetrable shell that he can expand into spinning blades and throw at you. One way to deal with him is just to carefully time your homing attacks so you don't get hit by the blades. But if you do that, the window to damage him is small. To increase that window, you can either parry the blades and knock them away right before they hit you, or you can even use Sonic's side loop ability to encircle the enemy, which causes the shell to go flying upwards. Defeating these enemies will reward you with EXP that you can use to purchase new skills from a skill tree, which gives Sonic Frontiers a really nice feeling of power progression.
But we're not going to get to see the skill tree here, are we?
Time that I played. Some of the later skills
we're not seeing any menus, anything along the lines of a UI, none of that stuff. We're not seeing any of those types of details. And this is all just reused footage from the very first IGN video we watched. Well, actually, it's a combination of both of them.
That I had to contend with. These are near Shadow of the Colossus-esque in their scale, with one in particular against a beast named Asura, requiring Sonic to bait the Titan to slam the ground, and then boost up its arm in order to reach the weak spots on its head. It's an ambitious boss battle, far beyond anything I've seen in the Sonic series to date, but it's also the part of the game that needs the most work. Far too often, I'd fly off the boss's arm without knowing why, or I'd get to the top and for some reason lack the momentum needed to actually reach the head. Sonic must hunt down and defeat these bosses in order to collect portal gears, which open up portals that lead to bite-sized linear stages, done in the style of previous Sonic games, giving Sonic Frontiers a nice mix of both old and new styles.
Well, it gave you another way to get up there. That was new footage of him just climbing up to the top like that. That was different. That was new. At least you know, he was talking about the frustration trying to run up the arms. You don't have to do it that way, it doesn't seem.
To unlock the coveted Chaos Emeralds. Sonic Frontiers is an exciting new step forward for the Sonic series into uncharted territory, and based on my time with it...
Okay, what do we have left? We have the gameplay trailer and then the mini direct showcase. So let's see what the actual gameplay trailer has for us. Wait, are these the same thing? Yes, these are the same thing. Okay. Never mind. We only have one thing left.
Into a new zone. Sonic's latest action adventure kicks off on the vibrant Starfall Islands. Home
you can definitely tell this is Nintendo Switch footage. It is very different from what we just watched.
You can freely dash through a vast open zone, taking full advantage of Sonic's speedy skills. Lock on and attack enemies standing in your way. Chain together attacks to trigger combos and rack up damage. With good timing, you can even deflect enemy attacks. Acquire skills to bolster Sonic's arsenal of moves. You can also enter a special zone called Cyberspace. Take on challenges at supersonic speeds and grab keys to progress. What awaits Sonic on these strange islands?
You know, they keep saying islands,
Sonic
right?
Frontiers.
They keep saying islands, but at the same time, I'm like, how many islands are there? Because you haven't showed us very much. This is the first area that's not from that core area, and this is clearly meant to be a, what did they call it?
Special zone called Cyberspace.
The cyberspace? This is meant to be closer to like a actual Sonic experience in this cyberspace, right? It definitely looks like they have these more linear progression levels, and doing one unlocks the other one, and this seems to be its own side event, right? You unlock keys to progress, and I'm feeling what they mean by progress is unlock more levels and stuff. We got a Green Hill Zone and stuff right here in terms of what, like, this is going to be where they reference other levels and stuff. But they keep saying islands, and we've still only seen this one island. I guess you might end up going to other ones, but given that this game comes out soon, and with as much marketing as they already put behind it, makes me curious just how big the actual total scope of this game is, because it feels like it could be extremely limited. Is that Amy up there? Just like, is that evil Amy? I don't know. We got Mechagodzilla. But so I see why people are so skeptical. You know, I'm less concerned about the Unreal Engine demo side of it, and I feel more concerned about the total scale, right? Because I feel like everything they've shown us is very, very small. Especially because it's like, oh, it's this big island. But the idea also is that you're Sonic. You are the blue blur. You can run super fast. You can speedball across this entire island very, very quickly. Which, if the island is big, because Sonic can get around it so quickly, that still ends up making it small. And there didn't actually look like there was that much on the island. Now, we know that he got sent to this island. It's a mysterious island, and he needs to collect the Chaos Emeralds, but we don't know why. And maybe once he collects a certain number of the Chaos Emeralds, maybe that unlocks another island that is actually something different, that is something apart from what we are seeing there. I genuinely hope so, because my concern is less about it looking like a tech demo, because it looks fun, it looks neat, but my concern is that there just isn't actually that much in it, and that it'll be a swift and ultimately bland experience due to the lack of content that is actually in the game, because it does look limited right now. I'm also amazed that this thing is going on Nintendo Switch, because looking at the other trailers and then watching that Nintendo Switch trailer, whoo, power to you, devs. I don't know how you managed to make something look so good and then also figure out how to get it to work on an Amazon Fire tablet, but congratulations, you did an incredible job. So really though, with this, I like a lot of what I see. I can see it being fun, especially because the combat actually looks pretty good. We didn't get to see very many enemies, and that's a concern of my own end, because if there's a lack of enemy variety, even if the combat is fun, it gets stale really, really fast if you don't have new enemies and new mechanics that are switching it up for you in one way or another. And so that's a concern. But if it does offer enough beyond what they've shown us, it'll be a really great game. But I'm not feeling confident that there's a ton there currently. That could change, but currently not super confident in it. But that's just, my take from watching, like 30 minutes of this, whatever you want to call this. I also, like I said, I mentioned this earlier in the video. I really blame whoever cut this footage for a lot of the lack of excitement around this, because both of those trailers from IGN, like the 8-minute hands-on and the 6.5-minute gameplay, both of them were terribly presented. Whoever edited those, I'm sorry, but your chief editor failed you, because they should have went, okay, I see what you're going for, but we need to spice this up because this is fucking boring to watch. And it's not that the stuff that we're looking at is boring, the way that it's presented is boring. There was repeated content. Some of that stuff took way too long. Like, the way that they cut the boss fight was actually better than the way that they were cutting fights against the regular enemies. We watched them fight the little ball guy twice, and there wasn't even anything different or unique between the two fights. And both of them felt like that part took just as long as fighting the big, Whompy boss. So I do feel like part of this is on the presentation rather than the content itself. But that's a different, that there's only so much that the game can do about the way that it's being presented. And I'm not sure who to blame, whether that's IGN or if the dev said you have to use this footage. Don't know, but I would like to know. But probably we'll never know. But anyway, that's how I feel about it. What do you think about it? What do you think about Sonic Frontiers? Where are you sitting on it as a game, as a release? Please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you want to keep with the conversation elsewhere, two great places to do so are Discord and Twitter. And speaking of Discord, we actually have a channel dedicated to these reactions where you can place links of your own that we can watch together live on stream, because we do stream 4 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and I would love to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to catch future videos, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to get out of here, though, so if you watch one of the other videos on the channel, or if I see you in the live stream, thank you and enjoy.